Hey, movie fans, welcome to Greenlight This, where we take the films we wish existed and bring them to life. At least in theory. Every episode, we dream up alternate cinematic universes, spin wild sequels, and storylines so good you'll wonder why Hollywood hasn't called us yet. My name is Landon Davis, but you can call me Squiddy, and I'm here with the Sarumon to my Jabberwocky, Travis Medore.
Greetings, everyone. Travis here. Hope you guys are doing well.
So, Travis, why are some of our favorite movies historical movies?
Oh, I feel like there's just a strong desire to revisit the past, and movies and cinema are just a perfect way to being able to revisit the past in a healthy way.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, there have been the eras of the samurai movie, the cowboy movie. So speaking of historical movies, what are some of your favorite historical movies?
Right off the bat, I don't know if this fully qualifies, but I love Three Musketeers. Just the time era of the Musketeers, just that late Renaissance kind of regal period where you kind of have the later form of knights, just with the chivalry of the Musketeers. I do also enjoy the old samurai movies. Like Hidden Fortress with a bunch of nods and homages to Shakespeare's works is for one. But yeah, just Yojimbo is another good one. Just dealing with feudal Japan. Just really fun and enjoyable films.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my favorite historical movies, because I am a period piece guy, so I've watched Downton Abbey, I watched Gilded Age and Bridgerton. Into movies, I've loved a lot of the famous ones that have won like Best Picture, such as King's Speech, Lincoln, Dunkirk, Darkest Hour. I love that movie.
That is a good one.
The King's Man, which again is kind of in that more comedy version.
Okay,
Even when, we get into movies like Newsies, or I'm sure this counts as historically accurate, as Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
I will say it does because that is a good one too.
I realize, though, several of the movies I suggest are from World War II. Why do you think that period specifically is so popular for movies?
I feel like World War II is pretty close in terms of major historical events that occurred within at least a few generations of us. To where there is a lot of information still being uncovered about the events of World War II and just everything that is involved in it. All the different moving pieces, the different gears, the different pieces on the chessboard, if you will. It's fun because something new is being recovered and being discovered and then being filmed in a way to where we are able to review it and learn something new while being entertained.
I agree. I think there is a connection with the fact that that was the beginning of Hollywood as well. Our silver golden age of Hollywood.
Oh, yes.
That started in that time. If you haven't looked into it, you'll probably know that Dumbo and Donald Duck, they went and helped the war by having little shorts that, help support the troops. So, Hollywood was a thing and helping at that time with movies. I think the classic of just good versus evil.
Oh yeah,
it's an us versus them. It's the Star Wars story of you have the evil empire, but then you have these underdogs that are going to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and they are going to charge off and defeat the giant baddie. And in the end, we also all know the ending. We know that good did defeat evil.
Yeah.
Even if maybe we've forgotten that Nazis are bad now.
What?
But speaking of, older set movies, why do you think biographical films are so popular?
I feel like it's kind of along the lines of what I think I've already mentioned. It's just a way to be able to learn and revisit something just because of how frequently new research is being uncovered on some of these events. Like, what was the movie about the women mailmen over in Europe during World War II?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I cannot remember what that project was called, but it was on Netflix.
Yeah, because that one was... I feel so bad for forgetting the name, but that one was really good and just like so insightful at the same time about just the living conditions of other people in World War II.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of those movies that I mentioned where you get darkest hour. You have that, you're focusing on Winston Churchill, but
Yes.
1 week maybe is what it takes place in, where it's just specifically this one event, and it's dealing with Dunkirk, which, fun enough, came out the next year.
Yeah.
So you kind of have these two movies that take place in a together time. I think there are other versions of biographical films where we get Bohemian Rhapsody, and it tries to tell all of a person's life in one film. Both are good. Personally, I think you get a little bit more emotion, a little bit more detail about a person when you see them struggling with smaller moments in like a 3-day period, rather than all their successes and failures trying to be crammed into a 2-hour event. And some people go for this, some people don't. But the theology around great men of history, that great men change the world.
Yeah.
That you need, the Lincolns, they're just going to pop up. But there's also just Lincoln responding to the waves of people in the time and the era. Yeah. So, it's a great thing. But I think biopics help us have a little bit of that belief in the great men of history.
Well, Squiddy, should we get started?
Oh, I'm ready. So, Greenlighters, grab your licorice. It's time to greenlight something new.
All right, hit the light. Roll camera. Wait. Hold on. Where's the script?
So, Travis, are you familiar with an actor by the name of Christopher Lee?
Oh, am I? I definitely, growing up, my first interactions with Christopher Lee was definitely with him as Sarumon the White in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, followed by just all of the other subsequent movies, him as Dr. Wonka in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory reboot with Johnny Depp, his Dracula movies, which I love to revisit those every October.
Yeah, I know the wonderful Christopher Lee from definitely Sarumon. It was probably a little bit later when I started seeing those, but definitely I would say Count Dooku was the first big one for me.
Yes, Star Wars.
Yeah.
How can I forget that?
Yeah, just seeing him in that Count, he had that chain just running across his cape that it just feels signature in my head of like Christopher Lee.
Just this really cool lightsaber.
Oh, yep, his famous lightsaber. Well, Christopher Lee is very famous for living an extraordinary life, Travis. Can you give us some fun facts about that life?
Oh, absolutely. So, for our listeners, Christopher Lee has held the Guinness World Record for most screen sword fights, which is insane. He witnessed the last public guillotine execution in June 13th, 1939 in France. He was a heavy metal singer in his 80s. Met the assassins of Rasputin. Like, what? The only Lord of the Rings cast member to have met Tolkien, which is insane. Cousin to Ian Fleming, the author of James Bond. Distant relative to Charlemagne and Confederate General Robert E. Lee. He was an intelligence officer during World War II, and after World War II, he hunted Nazis. But a lot of that is classified.
I mean, what a life, right?
Right?
You witness the last guillotine execution. You end up as an actor where you get the Guinness World Record for sword fighting. Then all of the movies that we know him from, which are all these major blockbusters of Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and just every Tim Burton project since like 2000, I feel like he popped in. He just does this amazing job. His family lineage is insane because he's also, through his mom, related to Italian royalty. So that's where he's connected to
I think
half
I've heard
of this.
that too, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing life that he live. But Travis, what part of his life is the most unrealistic?
Oh my gosh, I would almost say like being some kind of Nazi hunting spy, because when you watch old interviews of him and just how he talks, he just seems like this very polite, kind of reserved person. Like, he's an educated man for sure, but he's someone that he's more of a reader than a doer, has always been my vibe. So just the vision of him going through Europe hunting Nazis is just so left field from how I picture him being that I would have to say that. Do you have one?
I mean it's a tough one to come up with. I do think the being related to Charlemagne and General Lee and also meeting Rasputin, like those historical moments.
Oh yeah.
Like that's if you were presenting this in a script and just saying like, oh, and here's the main character's life, like here's all the things that he's done. I think most like higher ups in a movie would just be like, no, this is too
real.
insane. No, you can't just be like the most extreme chosen one ever and made ever. Like this is being given the ring, being lightning bolted by Voldemort while also being the child of Vader, like all in one.
Right?
But it's Christopher Lee, so it's his life, so of course. And, you know, as Americans, we also have this weird thing of we kind of exclude our elder community from being able to be successful in anything.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Like even though we grew up on the age of Golden Girls were already happening, and now you get Grace and Frankie and some other things that have kind of addressed this in terms, but in his 80s, he just decided, I'm going to become a metal singer, and he just does it. And you know what? More power to you, Christopher Lee. We appreciate it.
Yeah, guys, that wasn't like he was a metal singer in the 1980s. He was a metal singer in his 80s, like his 80 years.
Yeah. So today's movie topic clearly is about this man. But I think that there's got to be a little twist to this story, even though there's a lot about him. We just talked about all these amazing things that he's done, specifically around World War II and his work with hunting Nazis that is classified. I think this is a great setup for a movie. But how do you reference the rest of his career? How do you talk about what the Christopher Lee we know of? Yeah. Dracula, of Count Dooku, like all of those parts of him that we know and love. What if we can be haunted by not just our past, but our future? What if our future can haunt us? A man that is hunting war criminals, occultists. That feels like somebody that could be mirrored in a way that, you know, his acts in Star Wars and Lord of the Rings could come up. These could be reflections to him, I guess, in a way that he doesn't know yet. So let me introduce you to this Christopher Lee biopic idea I have.
Okay, bring it.
So I definitely want this to be set in your action adventure, your historical, with a few splashes of horror to it. And I want to give you the visuals of who I'm kind of thinking about before, so maybe, you know, those at home can imagine this. So Sam Mendes, he's an author that worked on Skyfall and Spectre in the James Bond universe, which Christopher Lee being rumored to have been the inspiration for James Bond. That's kind of fun. He also worked on 1917, so he's done he's done war historical before. But you're going to need some executive producers, and I think there are two producers that have worked with Christopher Lee that would be a great backdrop in supporting this project. I think if we get both Peter Jackson and Tim Burton.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, they're each going to manage maybe different parts of it. I feel like Peter Jackson has done other historical movies. But Tim Burton has, you know, that dark twist that I think you're going to need maybe in this movie in some spots. So the tagline for this movie is: a young Christopher Lee hunts Nazis across Europe as these monsters bring forth the shadows of his future. To kind of set the stage of what I'm thinking about, I want to introduce you to who I think should play a young Christopher Lee.
Okay.
So the actor's name is Jamie Campbell Bower. I don't know if you're too familiar with his work, but he was a young child in Sweeney Todd, the Sweeney Todd movie.
Oh, yes.
He was in the Twilight Saga. He's even doing Vecna in the Stranger Things universe now. Like he's one of the creature monsters. But he has very sharp features.
He does, yeah.
He's taller. I think he's at least 6 foot. So he can kind of match some of the looks of young Christopher Lee. The other thing that I kind of like about him is he is a musician. So we're getting kind of a double hitter here with a version of him. Then it's a war movie. He'll have officers with him. So I think an Officer Prescott and Officer Campbell. But again, I love this idea of let's reflect parts of his future in a past moment of his life. So Officer Prescott is also going to mirror Vincent Price, who was a great friend to Christopher Lee.
Okay.
And I think he should be played by the actor Harry Lloyd. You'll recognize him because of his time on Game of Thrones.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he has, again, very sharp features, classic, handsome.
Yeah, he can easily be like a military officer.
Yeah, he works in that, and I think he could match Vincent Price's energy. Then for his best friend, Peter Cushing. That would also be the Officer Campbell character. I think we get Harry Melling.
Okay.
Who it was Dudley Dursley. That's where most people are going to know him from. But he's grown kind of gaunt now that he's lost a lot of weight. And
he's done a lot of historical pieces, too, in the past several years.
Yeah, he has. He's done historical. So I think he can match that look that Peter Cushing would do. So that's going to be kind of the main trio that we're going to follow across Europe in this adventure. The story, I would say, the war has just ended in Europe. America has turned to focus against the Japanese Empire, which, as we're all going to know, that means there's a ticking time bomb of what Oppenheimer's working on. But high-ranking Nazis are missing. They haven't all been caught. A young Lieutenant Lee leads a task force tracking down these war criminals. His first target, located in Italy, which anyone that knows, Christopher Lee does speak Italian along with German and I believe 5 other languages.
Yeah, he knew a lot of languages.
But young Christopher Lee leads a task force tracking down to the location to Italy a figure that we're going to call the Count.
Mysterious.
Mm-hmm. The Count and Christopher Lee are going to have a little duel. Being a master swordsman,
of course,
it's going to be a run-in. I imagine some, Italian castle or fortress that this Count is hiding out in. And Lieutenant Lee is going to get injured. He's going to, get hurt, but he deals the final blow, taking down our evil Nazi. The Count should be a little bit older man. He was probably war profiteering from the time with the Nazis. And mirroring again Christopher Lloyd, that kind of being a theme to this.
Christopher Lloyd,
wow. Spoilers for the end of this. It was all back in time based.
Why do we gotta go back?
So the Count would be played by Viggo Mortensen.
Ooh, yes. Good old Viggo.
Because I'm not really familiar with him doing a villain role.
No, he hasn't really done a ton of villain work. It's usually, either just the loner or, just the one-off kind of side character.
And I think it'd be fun, as much as it would be great to ask Sean Bean to die again. I think giving Viggo this moment would just be a fun role to see. I just see him almost the porpoise war winner. He feels like he was on the top of the world.
I wouldn't be surprised if Viggo also already knows Italian, because like Christopher Lee, Viggo knows a ton of languages fluently himself.
Well, that's awesome. That's why I think he'd be a great casting. And then the squad will find amongst this, fortress, clues leading to 2 more Nazis, the White Rook and the Bloody Bishop.
Ooh.
With orders from the squad travels across Europe to eliminate these 2 targets, but his near-death experience gives Lieutenant Lee a little bit of shell shock. Even his closest friends seem different. After are ghosts haunting him? The answer might only be found in time. That's kind of going to be the rest of the story.
Okay.
I would say the commander, the lieutenant, whatever that Christopher Lee is going to be reporting to, I would love to see the wonderful Andy Serkis return in this general role. His gruff, anger, especially when you've watched Andor, that energy that he can bring in just a raw moment, sending these young soldiers off to die. Then there are two extra villains. So the White Rook, I think he would be an occultist. He joins that, dark mystic side of the Nazis. And I would love an older actor for this. So my first thought is Ian McDiarmid.
Okay.
I love the idea of just seeing him in just these robes, where maybe, the first movie starting in Italy, he is going to be in France or, maybe in Hungary, just something like that. Swedish, maybe he's up in the mountains in another castle. Just kind of give us the visual of just this occultist who, was obsessed with whatever dark magics the Nazis thought they would unlock. If, Ian McDiarmid sadly can't make it, I think another actor that would be fun to see in this role, who's played a few villains, the wonderful Ewan McGregor.
Oh, yes. Ewan does a really good villain.
Yeah, so he's a good backup if we need it in this case. And then the final boss of the movie, the Bloody Bishop. If Bloody's not giving it away, he's definitely being targeted to be similar to the Dracula role of the movie. And I did go through a few of the classic German actors, which is basically the entire cast of Inglourious Basterds.
Yes.
But I kind of thought just giving that gaunt, scary look that young Christopher Lee, I feel like, has in his Dracula, I thought Crispin Glover.
That is very interesting because I definitely really like Crispin Glover. I haven't seen him in a whole lot of other roles. I've only seen him in a few. But yeah, I definitely feel like he would be a good choice for, like, he has that European look to him to where, yeah, I think he could be a good kind of Count Bloody Bishop Dracula-esque type person during the 40s.
Yeah, because the other classics would be somebody like Christopher Waltz.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel Bruhl. I'm probably going to say that one. Who we all would know from, oh my gosh, I can't remember his Marvel role. The Count whatever from, he was...
Oh, Nemo?
Zemo, yep, there we go, Zemo.
Yes.
Yep, it's from Zemo. Or I think the Til Schweiger. Another name that I'm going to butcher. He was in, I think, like the most recent Indiana Jones movie, like Dial of Destiny. And he was also in Inglourious Basterds.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, other classic Nazi acting actors, but that's why I thought
Not that we want to typecast the German-esque people in Hollywood to keep playing Nazis. Yeah, we want to branch out with our Nazi actors.
Yeah, I wanted to give an opportunity to mix it up and let some other people be the villains. And I was kind of referencing it already, but the visual style I liked was the Tolkien biopic that was a few years ago. I know it was kind of a flop, but it kind of did a similar vibe to this. Works like 1917, Kingsman, even Skyfall, Spectre, like those visuals okay. I think are going to match this movie well. But yeah, that is my Christopher Lee biopic that I would love to see on the big screen. Do you have any final thoughts about it?
No, I don't really have any final thoughts to add. Like, as you were going through and really laying everything out, I was instantly thinking like the Tolkien biopic and some of these other movies, because yeah, just the being able to show the small comparisons throughout, like, going through his life would definitely help kind of tie things together.
Yeah, and I just want it to be those small little flashes, just a turn of a corner, things like that will make you think that for a second, was that Saruman on screen? Ooh. Or was that Dracula? Like, and him being the bloody bishop, just, maybe he like steps out of a pool of blood at some point, or, they think it's blood, but it's actually, just a regular bathing pool, something like that. Just those little features that for just a moment are going to make you think of, wait, isn't that the movie that, like, I really like? What is this?
Yeah, I think this would be definitely a really fun homage to Sir Christopher Lee's life, just kind of recognizing everything that he's done for not just, like, his country, but other nations and other countries during World War II, and then just his work in cinema. Yeah, that would be just a really, really nice way to hopefully pay respects. I know that was the intention with the Tolkien movie, and it's sad that it didn't really get the respect that they were looking for. But yeah, hopefully with the right director, the right producers behind it, the right studio, something like this should be able to hopefully get the right message across.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's all of my thoughts on this, so let's go over to post.
Good. That's a wrap. Let's go to post.
Well, thanks for going on that adventure with me. Do we have any listener questions this week?
Well, we have one from ChatGPT again. What's your ultimate comfort movie when you need inspiration or just a good vibe reset?
Well, you've seen me get home from work enough times when I'm in a bad mood that my reset is usually laughter. Laughter is the best medicine. So something along the lines of Steve Martin's Father of the Bride, The Hangover, Bad Moms, Bridesmaids, or Billy Madison, something in that area. Those are such classics. I'm guaranteed to laugh, and I'll feel great afterwards. What about you, Travis?
For me, my top go-to is the original Gene Wilder, Charlie or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Just if I need a laugh, I just want something on the background while I'm doing something. If I do just kind of want to sit down and relax, that's like one of my top go-tos. My other feel-good movie would be The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser Mummy. I love that movie. Again, just a nice classic adventure comedy. You have your highs, your lows, a little bit of romance, some good action. I guess another historical piece going along the lines with today's topic as well.
Well, I have a question. Since we're on episode 2, we need to start planning ahead. If this podcast becomes a movie, what genre do you think it would be?
Oh, it would definitely be some kind of a comedy. I'm not sure what the subcategory would be, either like some kind of documentary or drama, like a comedy drama of just two friends trying to get this thing off the ground, but maybe someone comes in between them, a friend that is there and then moves away.
Well, spoiler alert, we know who that is. Well, I've thought this through. I know the buddy comedy meets mockumentary style that it would work well as. In a perfect world, in a different time probably even before podcasting was made, I think I've already cast us as Chris Farley and Gene Wilder.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm getting ready. We'll just have to find those two versions of actors in, let's give it till 2027. We can start casting then. Anything you want to greenlight for our listeners this week?
Yeah, just on the topic of Christopher Lee, honestly, anything with that wonderful, wonderful man. Halloween is slowly coming up, I know, for a lot of people. September is the beginning of spooky season. Maybe try to find any of the Dracula movies. I know just the first one that him and Peter Cushing are in are just really great. Sleepy Hollow is another spooky one. I know he's only in the beginning, but he just leaves such an impression in just the 1 or 2 minutes of screen time that he's in. Maybe Lord of the Rings. Maybe give Lord of the Rings a rewatch. I would just recommend anything with Christopher Lee in it because you can't go wrong with any of those pictures. Landon, what are yours?
So I'm going to greenlight for the listeners this week a movie that we haven't watched yet, but I've been meaning to. So Christopher Lee says that it is the best film of his career.
Oh.
And it was the movie that he didn't take a pay at the beginning of the movie to make sure it could have enough of a budget. And that is The Wicker Man.
Oh.
So we're probably going to be watching that this week ourselves.
Yes, definitely.
But that's one that I would like to give the listeners a chance to go through.
And yeah, got a movie pitch of your own? Love this movie or think we could have cast it better? Message or tag us on Blusky, Instagram, TikTok at Greenlight This Pod. We might feature it in a future episode.
Follow us on Letterbox, where we post movie reviews, and our watch list might hold hints to what our future productions we have. And check out our Instagram, where we'll have pics to go along with this episode.
And if you've enjoyed this production, leave us a 5-star review and subscribe so you don't miss the next premiere.
Let's drop next week's trailer and credits roll.
Next week on Greenlight This, crop circles, the pyramids, UFOs, and abductions. You know some legends around the Greys, reptilians, and the Norse. Our world is mysterious but attracts out-of-this-world visitors. So grab a tinfoil hat and tune in next week and decide if you greenlight this. Greenlight This is self-produced, directed by Landon Davis and Travis Medore. Written by Landon Davis and whatever he Googled 10 minutes before recording. Executive producer, our caffeine of choice. Director of photography, absolutely no one. This is a podcast. Sound department, me, Travis Medore. Casting, us. And hopefully one day, Tim Burton. Music, Buccaneer by Zenial from freemusicarchive.org. Craft services, Halloween Oreos and a pumpkin caramel coffee. Special thanks, you, our listeners, the real studio heads who greenlight every episode just by pressing play. This has been Greenlight This. Until next time.